Hello, and welcome to Candidates Up Front. This is a public interest election program of Berks Community Television and the League of Women Voters of Berks County. I'm Judith Cranus. Our May 20th municipal primary election is fast approaching. Democrats and Republicans will select their candidates for judges, school directors, and township, borough, and city officials. This is the election where Democrats and Republicans choose the candidates who will represent them on the November ballot. However, when there is a question on the ballot, as there is in the Kutztown School District, all registered voters in that district vote on the question. It's not just Democrats and Republicans. Any registered voter should come and vote. To check your voting status, you can go online to vote.pa.gov. And that is the official state Pennsylvania website. It's a government site, very safe. And there you can register to vote. You can change your party. You can locate your polling place, or you can apply for an absentee or mail-in ballot. And the deadline to register is May 5th. The deadline to apply for a mail-in ballot is May 13th. Now, the League, in its part, is interviewing those candidates who want to be interviewed in the contested races. For each race, the candidates will get the same basic questions and have the same amount of time to answer them. Let's begin. Hello, I'm Judith Cranus, a member of the League of Women Voters of Berks County. There are two candidates competing for a chance to be magisterial district judge in District 23106. That's a big number, but a simpler description. It's mostly Muhlenberg Township and Laureldale, so now you know what we're talking about. Both of the candidates are cross-filed, which means their names are on the ballot for both the Democrats and the Republicans. And the two people are Jason M. Bowen and Colleen Dugan Shearer. And voters in each party will select one to be on their fall ballot. Now, the magisterial district judge, known as MDJs, they handle traffic violations, landlord-tenant matters, and civil actions where the amount claimed is less than $12,000. This judge presides at arraignment, sets bail, issues warrants, and performs duties of a similar nature. The term is 6 years, and the 2025 salary is $113,713. And we remind you that the opinions expressed in the interview are those of the candidate, not those of the League or of Berks Community TV. And this interview is with Colleen Dugan Shearer. Welcome, Colleen. Glad to have you with us.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Delighted. Could you start out by telling our viewers a little bit about yourself and why you're running for this particular position?
Sure. My name's Colleen Dugan Shearer. I grew up in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and graduated from Pennsbury High School. After high school, I went to college here in Reading. I went to Albright, and I studied there for 4 years and graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in Economics and Political Science. After college, I went to law school. It was at the Dickinson School of Law in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. That school is now affiliated also with Penn State. After law school, my first legal job was clerking for a Commonwealth Court judge, and I did that for a year, and then I began looking for a job in a district attorney's office. I had done an internship in law school, and that's what sparked my interest in criminal law, and I knew I wanted to continue my career as a prosecutor. So as I started my job search for a prosecutor position, one became available and was posted here in Berks County. Having gone to Albright, I felt very familiar with the area and interviewed for the job. I was awarded the job the same day and accepted very happily, and then moved here to Berks County. I have been in Berks County ever since. I started in the DA's office here in 2001, and after that I met my husband. He's a policeman in Muhlenberg Township. When I met him, he had been out of the Marine Corps and working in the Sheriff's Department. He shortly thereafter got his job with Muhlenberg Township, and I've been with the DA's office my entire career. With the DA's office, I've been in the district courts working on a weekly basis, doing preliminary hearings. As a supervisor for many years in the district attorney's office, I now oversee all summary appeals. They're all traffic citation appeals that come from the magisterial district judge's office. I also oversee the summary ARD program, which is a diversion program that comes out of the MDJ office as well. So what has led me to this is, I believe, a natural progression, or one where maybe I want to work a little bit more closely with my immediate community in Muhlenberg and Laureldale. I know what the district judge is there to do, and I am more than capable to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. And I was going to ask for education and background, but you have really done that. Could you talk more about what these things are that you'll be handling as a district judge that you said you're dealing with now? Because I think you had some acronyms in there that I may not have been as familiar with as maybe I should be.
Right. So when a case comes into the magisterial district judge, it can be a non-traffic citation. It can also be a traffic citation. Those are summary offenses that typically won't ever come to the Court of Common Pleas here in downtown. If it's a non-traffic citation, an example of that would be if you're charged with a harassment or a disorderly conduct, some of the quality of life crimes that start off as a summary offense. The traffic tickets, of course, deal with the motor vehicle code, and they are also filed by citations by police officers. So they start at the magisterial district judge, and then the judge would, your citation gets filed there, and they send you paperwork, and you either plead guilty or not guilty. If you plead not guilty, you're then given a time for a hearing where you can come in, and then the police officer that's charged you then has to prove that case in front of the magistrate, the job I'm seeking to hold.
And because those are things you're handling now, that's what you want to be doing full-time to be closer to community, if I got that right.
Right. It would basically be the first step in the process. As it is now, what would happen is if the person doesn't like the decision at the magisterial district judge and they file an appeal, then they come to the Court of Common Pleas, and all of those summary appeals are then managed by me. I don't handle every one. I have other attorneys that also show up and are assigned to handle court that day. So that's one facet. The other facet is for first-time offenders, District Attorney John Adams had created a program where for your first summary non-traffic offense, so for instance, a kid on a college campus is caught underage drinking and he gets a citation. Well, in the past, that would potentially result in a conviction for a summary offense that would potentially be on that student's record for a number of years. Now, they can apply for the summary ARD program, where
And ARD stands for?
It's an alternative dispute program where you basically come in and you are going to pay for a class, and then you can go to whatever class pertains to you. So if you need like an alcohol
so it's
safe
a training
correct,
kind of class.
correct.
Okay.
Or if there's a summary retail theft, you might have to go to a different class, and you might have to pay the restitution back, of course, if the store was out any money. But if you do those things and then you successfully complete that program and you've paid your fines and costs, then the beauty of the program is you don't have a criminal record. There's no conviction. So that person then doesn't have that blemish on their personal record for at least 5 years.
Okay. Tell us what personal qualities you have that would help you be an effective magisterial district judge.
I think that my education and my life experience has given me a broad range of knowledge in a lot of areas. Of course, I am an attorney. You don't have to be an attorney to have this job, but I definitely think it's going to help me and set me apart because, of course, I am aware of the law. I'm aware of how the cases track through the criminal justice system and even through the civil court system. I'm also aware of how evidence is to be brought to court and the duties of an attorney if an attorney would be representing a litigant. But I also want to be there for the community. I want to be there for somebody who has never come to court before to put their mind at ease that there is a process that they can avail themselves in, and they can get their objectives and their arguments heard and dealt with in a fair and equitable way.
And as a district judge, you've mentioned you're dealing with civil areas and criminal areas. Could you explain the difference so everybody understands what that is?
So on the civil side, it's mostly going to be landlord-tenant type issues, dealing with evictions, things like that. Of course, magisterial district judges also perform weddings for people that are interested in, the binding contract of marriage. And they also can hear civil lawsuits that are $12,000 or less. So if you have something in what I think a lot of people call small claims court, you can bring that. If you have a bill that you had to incur, but you think somebody else should be responsible for paying you that money because they were at fault or they did something that caused you to have to repair your property or something like that, that would come before the district magistrate. And then it's exactly like it would be here, but on a smaller scale.
And then,
And the other side, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The other side would be the criminal cases, which is what I've been dealing with throughout my career. And basically, police come to the district magistrate to file their arrest paperwork or to file their summons, which would initiate a criminal prosecution against a citizen. Secondarily, police also come to the magistrate to get the search warrants that they need to conduct some of their investigations approved. So those would also come before me. I'm also uniquely equipped to handle that because in the Court of Common Pleas, I've had to defend some of those search warrants when defense attorneys have thought that they have been brought improperly. So I am certainly well aware of the law and I'm well aware of how to handle those matters.
one of the things you will be deciding is there sufficient evidence in a criminal case? What kinds of things go into that decision making?
Right. I am expertly aware of that because I do that on a weekly basis as an assistant district attorney. I've conducted thousands of preliminary hearings, and for those of you that don't know what a preliminary hearing is, when you are arrested for a crime, you get your preliminary arraignment at the magisterial district judge, and they're going to eventually set your bail, and then you're going to be scheduled for what's called a preliminary hearing. Your preliminary hearing is the first time that you have the right to confront the witnesses against you. In what we call an information received type case, where the officer goes to someone's house to take a report of a crime, the main witness is going to be the person that reported you. In a domestic violence case, let's say, it's going to be the victim. And that is the first time that the witnesses are going to be subpoenaed, they're going to be present, and then the Commonwealth, which would be the assistant district attorney that would be handling the case, would have to decide who to present as far as testimony or what evidence to present for the district magistrate to hear that all of the elements have been made. At the district magistrate level, it's not a beyond the reasonable doubt standard, it's a prima facie standard. More probably than not has a crime occurred, more probably than not is the person that's sitting there the person that did it. I like to say it's almost like a 51% at the district magistrate level. And really what the magistrate does is listen to the testimony and see whatever evidence is presented, and they're listening for the elements of the crimes. And unless the elements of the crimes are made out and the defendant is identified as the person that did it, then the case, they have to show those things for the case to proceed to the next level.
Huh. Okay. And there's also district justices would be setting bail.
Yes.
What criteria are used to do that?
Well, the rules of criminal procedure provide 10 specific release criteria that a magisterial district judge would consider. Most importantly, I think you have to balance the safety of the community and the likelihood that the person that's being charged with the crime is going to report back to court. Bail is really meant to make the defendant responsible for coming to court. And then, of course, we also have to keep in mind the protection of the community. Everyone in Pennsylvania is entitled to bail unless you've committed a homicide and you're charged with murder of the first degree. So then you have to decide what type of bail would be appropriate, whether or not someone at a very low-level, first-time offender perhaps would be released on their own recognizance, and it would be ROR.
That means their own signature, right?
Yes, they promise to come back to court. There are other times where you might need to find somebody some help. They might need to go for some treatment, or they might need to go for some drug testing to make sure that they can get their problems kind of in check and that they are a good risk to be out in the community. Mm-hmm. And then that is also ordered by the MDJ, and then you can assign those non-monetary conditions. That might also include a no-contact provision, or telling someone, we'll let you out on bail, but you can't go back to the house or the place where you committed your crime. And then, of course, there is secured bail, where they're going to have to post bail with a bondsman, and then they will promise, to come back to court.
Are there community problems that the district judge can help alleviate?
I think there's quality of life crimes that come before the court all the time. And I think parking issues, things like that are going to come into the court. I hope, that I'm always, I perceive myself as approachable, and I hope that people will avail themselves of the business hours and come in and schedule hearings and schedule times to come before the court and resolve their matters. I will certainly listen to each side and each party's arguments, and then based on the law and the evidence that I hear, make a fair decision.
Okay. We're going to go a little shorter on our answers to make sure we fit in our time frame. Hate to do that. It's very interesting to learn more. But what can you do on or off the bench to ensure that all Pennsylvanians have access to the courts?
Well, I think you have to obviously make yourself available, and that you're in your office and that you're available to the community, and always setting a good example. I do have 2 children and, of course, my husband, and we kind of pride ourselves on always setting a good example in the community. And, of course, as an attorney, I also have to abide by a set of legal ethics. And as a judge, I would do the same thing. And I would always uphold my duties and be fair and impartial and listen to both sides.
Mm-hmm. And as doing those things, do you think that will help build trust in Pennsylvania's courts?
Yes, and I hope people do have trust in Pennsylvania's courts. I think everyone has access to the court system, and we have attorneys that help aid people through the court system. The Bar Association is a great resource. If you don't have an attorney, they can steer you towards one. I know that we do have attorney services for those that don't have the means to pay as well, and there are different avenues to look into that. I think that basically with the internet, I think a lot of people educate themselves, whether they're Googling things or looking things up as well, as to what their rights are and what programs are out there. And certainly I can help them as far as my knowledge of not only the magisterial district courts, but what is offered at the county court level as well, whether it be diversion programs or drug treatment court or mental health treatment court programs that we have up at the county.
Mm-hmm. And are you involved in any volunteer community work?
Yes, I think we in my family make it a family affair. My children have gone to Holy Guardian Angels, and now my oldest is at Berks Catholic. Almost every activity that they do has some kind of social service component, so we've raised our girls that way, whether we're raising money for breast cancer awareness or collecting donations for the animal shelters. Just over the holidays, my daughter at the high school, we shopped for and put together almost 50 boxes of children's Christmas gifts for children in countries where they don't have much. It included baby dolls, soccer balls, coloring books, water bottles, things like that. Additionally, I've always been involved with animals. We rescued greyhounds from First State Greyhound when I first got married, and my dogs were even blood donors to help save the lives of other dogs that needed it. As my dogs passed away, we got cats, and now that we have cats, I've also been involved with Berks Community Cats, and I do my part, I believe, to TNR. I have trapped and released cats in my community. I've also brought them in and fostered them and worked with shelters to find good homes for the cats that we've brought in and fostered.
Now, tell our home viewers, why is this position so important that they actually need to get up and go to the polls and vote in this election? Tell us, why does it matter to the average person?
Well, I think every election is important, and I think it's always important to vote, and I think it's always important to vote with your children. And I think you need to tell your children the importance and show them the importance and how to get involved. I know that I grew up with parents that always took me and always told me that you can't really complain if you don't participate. So I've always participated, and I think that that is very important. With that being said, for this particular position, magisterial district judge, it is perhaps the only time someone will have contact with the justice system. It is perhaps the only time someone will have a civil matter that they will need to come to court. I hope no one ever really has to come to court. I mean, in a perfect world, we don't need judges because everyone will get along and abide by the laws and there won't be any problems. But when problems do arise, it's important to have someone on the front lines that can understand what's happening and can use the information and tools that are available in the community to help steer that person through our legal system. Whether that keeps them at the magisterial district judge level from the beginning until the end of their matter, or if they're moving on to the Court of Common Pleas, for instance, in a criminal case.
Thank you. And we have about 30 seconds for a closing statement.
I think that when you go to vote, it's important to consider who's been a member of your community. My husband and I have lived here. My husband's lived here his whole life in Muhlenberg, and I have raised my kids, and I'm in the only home I've ever owned. We raise our family here. We participate in the community, and that is very important. And I want to continue to give back to my community in this way. The other thing that's important for me is that while you don't have to be an attorney for this job, it is a benefit for me, and it's also a benefit for the community to have my skills. I am also ready to go on day one. I do not have to sit for any classes. I do not have to sit for the certification exam. As an attorney, I can start the job on day one, and I am ready to go. I think that you have to consider my broad education, and you have to consider my breadth of skills at the district attorney's office, and all of the time that I have spent with all the community partners that work together to form a cohesive justice system and one that everyone has access to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We've been talking to Colleen Dugan-Shearer, and she is one of two candidates for the magisterial district judge in District 230106, and that's the Laureldale area, Muhlenberg Township, and the other one is Jason M. Bowen. And you will be able to see the interviews of all the candidates on BCTV. It's on their web pages, which is bctv.org, and its YouTube page. Just go to YouTube, put in the search bar for BCTV. For more information, you can go to the League of Women Voters online voters guide, vote411.org. And thank you for watching Candidates Up Front.